Good evening, Dr. Joy, classmates. This is my informative speech. Tonight I would like to talk to you about my experience from several years of traveling abroad to my favorite destination. Can you guess the name of the places it looked in 1970? It's one of the premier tourist destinations today, but in 1970 only had 3 residents. It was nothing more than a farm. What about a current view from Google Earth? You can see it's highly developed today. That's right. That's the hotel zone in Cancun, Mexico, one of the hottest tourist destinations in the Caribbean, with over 15 million tourists a year traveling there. And it's interesting to note that when I was born, this place did not exist as you see it now. It was a pineapple farm. Now here we have a picture of Temptations Resort. It's the first hotel that was built in 1974 in Cancun. Back then it was called Playa Blanca. That's gone over a few renovations, a few name changes, but it's still owned by the same family. And it's a decent place to visit. It's a 3.5 star, maybe not a 5 star, but it's still a nice resort. Now let's talk about what there is to do in Cancun. There's a lot of things that you can do no matter what your preference is. For example, you can go on a jungle tour, take a speedboat out through the mangroves, ride out to the coral reef, do a little snorkeling, come back through the mangroves, and come back to the original destination after they ride you around a little while. Typically takes 3 to 4 hours for this trip. Or on the other side there, you have this is a map of Isla Major. It's an island that's just off of Cancun. It's a tourist destination, a lot of shopping, little shops, things to see out there. It used to be a fishing village. They actually do have hotels there that you can actually stay on if you would like. You can also rent a golf cart for a day and ride around. It's a good way to spend the afternoon if you are into that sort of thing. There's a ferry that typically runs several times a day back and forth from the island. Now let's not forget, you can also see downtown Cancun. This is not the hotel zone, this is not the tourist area, this is downtown. This is one of the streets downtown. Here's another one of the streets. This happens to be the street in front of one of my friend's apartments that lives down there. I just happened to take a picture so I could show people what the real Mexico looks like. Now, let's not forget the nightlife. I know a lot of people, especially since I'm talking college kids, a lot of you are interested in nightlife. You can always go see the show at Coco Bongo. I would highly recommend it. You go and see it at least once. You can also take a dinner cruise on a pirate ship and watch a live pirate fight in progress. Or you can go to a restaurant such as Carlos and Charlie's, Senior Frogs. Same thing. Or you can just go hang out with some of your friends, have a few beers and have something to eat. Now, here's an important thing I like to talk to you about. No matter whether you're traveling to Cancun or any destination, the staff at the hotel, you need to take care of these guys. Most of these guys are just like the guys in the United States. They work for basically tips. They're paid peanuts per day at the hotel, and they rely on tips for a living. But I would suggest even more so that besides taking care of them, get to know these guys. You know, here's a picture of my wife with 3 of the bartenders at the resort that we go to all the time. We've become friends with these guys. Became friends with them the first trip we were there. And it's good because these guys are the best source of information that you will find about the area, especially if it's an area you're not familiar with. These guys know what there is to do, when to do it, and what not to do, more importantly. As you can see in this picture, there were 10 of us there that night. I'll slide a little out of the way. I was taking the picture. Out of the group there, 5 of these guys were from the hotel. We just took them out one night, had something to eat, had a few beers, sat around for a few hours, had a couple of laughs, and really enjoyed ourselves. And this was one of their local hangouts, not one of the hotel zone tourist attractions that a lot of you would be tempted to go to by reading the website. It was a lot of fun and didn't really cost any more than going to one of the hotel zone bars. And the reason I bring that up, the guy in the very back of that picture that I just showed you happened to be the restaurant manager at the resort we were staying at. If you're trying to plan a romantic dinner for 2 on the beach when there's limited space, the guy in the very back, good guy to know because he's the restaurant manager. Comes in handy sometimes. You take care of them, buy them a few beers, buy them a dinner. You might just find out that your vacation's a lot more enjoyable because of it. Now let's talk about research. This is a website, CancunCare.com. It's one of the many websites dedicated to Cancun. This happens to be run by a friend of mine from England. I want to point out to you the very last line down there. This was from the forums section of the website. It says we've already got 756 on the list. That was the May 2014 roll call. There were 756 people from this website that were planning on staying at the resort during the month of May. Had a list of the names, when they were staying, how long they were staying, where they live, general information. And the reason I think this is important, because it's nice to, especially when you're traveling out of the country, to already know somebody in the area. You know, if there's a problem, there's somebody that knows you, knows who you are, and knows where you're from. Can come in very handy, and has come in very handy, especially back when Hurricane Wilma hit Cancun. We were there. We made it out the very last flight before they closed down the airport, but a lot of our friends didn't. We were able to keep everybody informed of what was going on, and it's really helpful. There's other websites. I'm sure there's websites that are dedicated to just about any destination you can pick in the world. So do your research, find these. You'll get a lot of good information. More importantly, you'll find out what to do, what not to do, and possibly who's going to be there. Now, here's another thing. Most resorts that I've been to have an activity staff that plans out activities for the day and the nighttime. Here's a picture of the phone party. There they hold every Thursday afternoon. It's a lot of fun. A lot of people got involved. Just got to make sure you keep your drink covered up, unless you like to drink foam. And join in on the fun. What is the worst thing that can happen? Well, here's the worst thing that can happen, at least at this resort anyway. You'll have the time of your life. That is actually a picture of me on the right hand side, covered in eggs, flour, and whatever else they could find out of the kitchen that day. I think there was some whipped cream involved there. Because I lost a game of crazy darts with a guy that I thought knew how to play darts. And lastly, if you follow my tips, get to know the staff, get to know the people at the hotel, either before, during, or after you get there, you can make some lifelong friends. These are two guys that we met on our very first trip to Mexico back in '05. We've been friends with them ever since. Do your homework, have fun, and be safe. You want to come back in one piece. You work hard for your vacations. Don't ruin it by doing something stupid. Thank you and have a good evening.